All right, welcome everyone. This is episode 6 of Hoops Hobby Hangout. And I am Ryan, Mike Cycle Cards. I'm joined by Adam, Sport Card King, Steve, S. Highly 2003, and Joey, Sot King Cards. How you guys doing? Anything happen this week? Any nice pickups?
I can start. I spent a lot of this week organizing binders. I spent so much time organizing binders this week because I, in the past month, have had the big, maybe 120 cards COMC mail day, and then the Bibby and Isaiah Thomas lots and stuff. So it's just been a lot of organizing, and then did get a couple pickups. I don't know if I mentioned on here that I'm a big fan of the lasers, the Donruss lasers, but I got 2 of those. One is a Keegan Murray rookie out of 25.
Nice.
It's an insert. I do prefer the base lasers more, just because I feel like they go better with the background, the in-game shots. But and this is one from this year, 24-25, De'Aaron Fox gold out of 10. And I think this year, honestly, the 24-25 lasers are probably one of the best laser designs. I think the base is really well designed. I think the foil down here, the foil in the name and the foil accents near the bottom, I think are really good. So this is the 24-25 De'Aaron Fox base gold laser. So I really like this year's Donruss lasers.
I agree with you. I think other than the fact that there's 2,000 parallels, they did a very good job with the quality of Donruss this year, which is not par for the course. I think 16, 17 Donruss was really nice. And I am with you, Joe. And if anybody's out there on the audio doesn't know, the lasers, it's almost like this effect that goes out from the middle of the card and sprays out to the sides. And just really, especially in an action shot, like it sometimes looks like it's coming out of the middle of the player or superhero power type look or coming from the basketball. So great pickups. I got no pickups, but as a fan, I'm a big WNBA fan, and we're entering the playoffs. So anybody watching on the YouTube will likely see my head tilt up a bunch because there's 2 deciding game 3s tonight from the first round that I'm very particular on which 2 teams I want to win tonight. So having a lot of fun, being a fan. Got to bust a hobby box of Marvel stuff with my son today. He broke his arm yesterday, so a couple of you guys know that. So brought him home a box from the LCS day that we broke open, hit a couple autos. So been having some fun with the hobby and everything, but not much for mail days since my silhouette cards last week.
I picked up a few things. I've shared some of them on Instagram already, but one that I have sitting next to me is scoring. I think it's scoring titles. Yeah, scoring title subset. The platinum 1 of 1 of Bob Pettit came in the other day. I'm not sure
nice.
how well that could be seen, but
That is awesome.
the foil on it's really nice. I'll have to take
Years
it's this year's 23-24.
Oh, okay.
I really like these. I picked up the Archibald recently as well, but I'll take a photo of it for you to upload so you can actually see the foil better than that.
Is it the holofoil, like the blue holofoil we were talking about?
Yeah, and it even almost, in a way, refracts more light, I feel like, than some of the previous years. It has a really nice kind of movement to it.
Yeah, it seems like Panini's done some years better than other when it comes to that, like blue platinum holofoil. Do you guys remember the totally black? I think it was like 14-15. Like the 101s were just black foil.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that? It looked horrible.
Yeah, they're not ideal. They almost look like they're like missing foil, like they forgot to stamp them.
Yeah, they just came out as odd.
Was that totally certified?
No, it was flawless.
Yeah, it was flawless that year, and I think maybe a couple other sets had that. All right, well, you guys ready to get into our topic for tonight?
Well, what about your week? You didn't share with us your week.
Nothing much. I told you guys before.
That was your way of saying you have nothing to share.
Yeah, my son got a in-school suspension.
So that was just airing his dirty laundry out there.
Yeah, we won't go into more details than that, but he wasn't the aggressor. He was standing up for a buddy, so I gave him a pass on it.
A pass or a gold star?
Right. That was the most exciting thing that happened this week. But anyway, yeah, this week we decided to all share a card, and that card we're going to go into a little bit more detail on just why we like the card, maybe why we like the particular parallel, let's say, or even set. Anyone that wants to join in, we're going to have a QR code. We'll bring it up there. We'll have a link for you in the chat. If you want to come on and share your own card, tell a story about it. It could even be like what was happening in the NBA during that period of time that you got that card, or the set, the year that it came out, something like that. So yeah, that's what we're going to do tonight. Should be pretty fun. And we're going to get going with Adam.
Yeah, and as I was telling these guys before we went on, I went back and forth throughout so many different options here. Not really easy to pick out one card to kind of walk through, but the one that I went with was a kind of something that I think explains kind of what I like. I like older sets better than I do Panini, so I've tried to avoid any of those. So that kind of eliminated everything down to upper deck stuff, and I want it to be like an auto or something like that. And this is what I've kind of came up with. Let's see if I can get it in the view here. Ultimate Archetypal Autographs from 0708 Ultimate. It's a set that most people, I feel like, haven't seen. I'm sure some people have, but it's kind of under the radar, so it's something a little unusual. I didn't want to just whip out an exquisite card or something that's commonly talked about. But it's a 14 card set. I would like to complete it. I have probably half of them right now. But coming from 0708 Ultimate, it's obviously Kevin Durant rookie year. In the process of choosing that one, I did a little looking. The only box of that I could find for sale online was $5,000 for a box. So I thought that was interesting when I saw it, because obviously that card's nowhere near $5,000. Would probably be better than 99% of boxes you would open today. But in addition to that, I did pull out, surprisingly, out of a 14 card set, the Celtics had 3 cards in it, and I have those 3 pulled out to go with it. This one here, the Robert Parrish to match, and then also the McDaniel from the same set.
Adam, you watch your mouth. Not surprisingly, they're the greatest franchise in the history of the NBA. They deserve 3 players. I don't know if X-Men should have been one of them.
I was going to say, you should have waited for the last card to come out for that. But it's obviously they deserve more than everyone else, especially the Lakers. But surprisingly, the part was that there's 30 teams and 14 cards, and they have 3 of them. So the ratio is quite skewed, especially when you look at some of the players don't make any sense. Like Bird obviously makes sense. Parrish to some degree makes sense. But then there's like Wayman Tisdale, there's David McDaniel. I mean, there's guys that are just kind of fringe guys that most people wouldn't care about. They threw in there, which is just kind of strange. But I think it's one of the more appealing sets. I'll get another good photo of that so you can see it better than probably what it comes up on the video. They refract real well. They have crazy foil on them. They look really nice.
Yeah, that hollow foil, like those kind of swirls or whatever. I don't know if that's hollow foil, but the refraction on the sides is great.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to mention. That's just amazing looking. Is it? Yeah, it is. It is hollow foil based, pretty much like covering the whole portrait of the player. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like a standard kind of glossy photo in the middle, and then have almost an ornate frame around it of hollow foil.
So you said that was Ultimate Collection, right? Is
Ultimate Collection, 0708.
Is that part of a broader set? Did they have base cards that year, or is it just?
No, there's no variations. There's no parallels. They're all numbered to 25, regardless of whether it's Xavier McDaniel or it's Larry Bird. There are a few players I don't have that are pretty decent in there too. Obviously, Jerry West is one of the bigger ones I need. Hakeem Olajuwon's in there, but there's a lot of kind of middle of the road guys also. I think there's Dwight Howard in there, Bill Laimbeer. I mean, just guys that the mix of it's weird. There's no LeBron, there's no Jordan, there's no Kobe. It's just a weird mix. I'd say West and Bird are the front runners of the best players in the set.
What I will say, and for people that listen, I mean, Larry Bird signs a lot, and there's a lot of space there for him to sign. But everybody that you just listed, maybe outside of Parrish, who has that really cramped, messy autograph, has a good signature. So it really, I mean, that I'm sure that wasn't the point of it, but you think of a set that's so aesthetically pleasing to have. A lot of those guys have very artistic, classic, autographs. So, give credit where credit's due for at least, a set that even if all 14 players aren't all-time greats, if somebody put that together, it would look amazing, and it would really tell a story of different, eras from the NBA. And yeah, that hollow foil, For anybody that's, I think a lot of people are more familiar with the Ultimate Collection patches from basketball and hockey. That hollow foil that they used is, I mean, second to none. And UD Black made some great looking cards with hollow foil, but something about that Ultimate Collection, whatever they were using during those 3 or 4 year runs of that product was just it's really beautiful.
Yeah, and I agree, and that was part of why I went with that one too. Is everybody talks about, even in here we've talked about UD Black, Exquisite, Chronology. Ultimate was before all of them and held up to many of those sets as well. I mean, I even pulled out a couple things from the same year of Ultimate just to kind of show. These I think are incredible. I love these as well. Ultimate Virtuoso. This is the patch out of 10 version. I think they look really nice.
Very nice.
And then just like the patch cards that year, even those have a pretty nice design to them, I think. Just kind of showing off the entirety of the Ultimate set that year.
Maybe we'll make you do a deep dive in Ultimate Collection one day, Adam. But even early Ultimate Collection, I want to say I've seen, and I wasn't collecting during the time, but I'm pretty sure I've seen pair stuff patches as early as like 0102. So it is a set that they weren't using the high end hollow foil. They were small patches. They're kind of busier designs. Like I really think it was more the mid to late 2000s where they nailed in their high end stuff. But and they're still using Ultimate Collection in NHL Upper Deck is, and it's still a very sought after product, great autos, on card autos, bold blue ink, good patches. So they've kept it up even without the football license.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Ultimate, in a lot of cases, you can get those for cheaper. They sometimes look better than like Exquisite cards to me. I don't own a whole ton of Exquisite, but I found that, let's say I'm going after like Carmelo or Anthony or something like that, I'll probably go towards like an Ultimate Collection auto because you get them for a lot cheaper than an Exquisite. And a lot of times they look better to me. So just really, really nice set. And over the years in general, nice. Adam.
Yeah, I was gonna ask kind of in terms of Ultimate. I agree. I love Ultimate. I think it looks great. I think that, I guess to your point, Ryan, it's amazing that there's such a price discrepancy between Ultimate and Exquisite when maybe the quality is not quite that different, if at all. I mean, you just said you like some of the Ultimate cards better than Exquisite, so it's interesting. I was gonna make a couple of things, but before I do, we actually have Braxton that is on, has scanned the QR code to come join us. So hopefully, obviously, welcome in Braxton, Cards of B Tracks on Instagram. Welcome. We're happy to have you. And as we're hanging out, please comment on what we're
What's
sharing.
Up, B?
You brought something to share too.
Hey.
Yeah. What's up, Steve? Long time no see. Yeah, I can go ahead. The card that I picked is actually a pickup I got from the National. It's one that actually Adam, I walked the show quite a bit with him pretty much the whole time. He actually was the one that saw it in this showcase that was just full of cards, and I probably would have missed it. But this is, let's see if I can get it. There we go. I know it's backwards, but let me see.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's an awesome card.
Yeah, so the set is 2009, 2010 Hall of Fame. They did a monikers set, which is essentially is kind of a copy of the legendary inscriptions that Upper Deck did back in the day. And then there's also, Adam can correct me, but there's National Treasures, I believe, notable nicknames set that Panini also did. Oscar's in that one as well. And kind of what sold me on this, I was looking out for an Oscar auto, a nice one, because I didn't have one, and I was actually trying to get an Exquisite auto. There's some really nice ones with like a touch of hollow foil on there. But Adam was like, hey, he only signed Oscar Robertson and Big O on like 50 cards. And it's this set, which is it's numbered out of 25, and then the notable nicknames and national treasures, that is also numbered out of 25. The upper deck ones he signed are all just big O if he did the inscription without the autograph. And so with it being one of essentially 50 where he did both, that can be pack pulled, it was an easy sell for me. And so yeah, I got that one. I have a few of the other ones. I'd already had here you can see
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah.
David Thompson Skywalker.
It's got the Skywalker inscription too. I like it.
And then George Gervin Iceman. And then Tiny Nate Archibald. What's really interesting about these is the Big O is out of 25, but like this Tiny's out of 299. Robinson's out of 149. Gervin's out of 199. And then I have one other one. Walt Frazier, Clyde.
Nice.
This one's also higher at 99. So the print run was definitely different. I believe Havlicek and Bob Cousy are also more limited. I believe they're out of 25. I think that's right, Adam?
I believe Havlicek's out of 25, and I think Kuzi might even be 10.
Either Kuzi or Bird are out of 10. One of them is.
Bird is also out of 10, yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I might make a run at the set, but the Koozies, there's one listed pretty high, in my opinion, up on eBay right now. But we'll see. We'll see what kind of scratches the itch. But I also have this one, which is what I was saying was kind of the copy of that they did on
the
Upper
glare
Deck,
looks good.
which is the legendary inscriptions. What was that?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
All these cards, and he can't pay his electric bill.
He's trying to show a horizontal card with blue ink on it. It says Bob Cousy. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, 0304 Ultimate or Upper Deck.
Yeah, Coos on the bottom.
Sorry.
I have trouble with that too. Don't worry about it. I can't ever show anything on here without glare.
They don't allow high speed internet in Utah. That's the issue.
No, not at all. I'm in a closet right now because I had my third kid, and that's where my cards are.
Nice.
That's where he sleeps too.
I'm very similar in my collecting style as Adam. Just Hall of Famers, mostly patch autos, but I like these inscribed autos because they're more unique. And like I said, with the Oscar, it's just really hard to find something like that. But yeah, I appreciate you letting me come on and show my card.
No, it's awesome. Thanks for coming in. And I
What was
think
that, Adam?
I'm going to cut Adam off because I think, and I'm going to get this wrong, but there's something about Oscar Robinson's signature where like he'll sign Big O if you see him in person outside somewhere, but if he's at a signing, he'll sign Oscar. So to have both of the, like he intentionally signs Oscar Robinson versus Big O in different settings or for different purposes. So to have a card, it's not just that he inscribed and never inscribed stuff. Those are actually two different signatures that he uses. So there's even a little bit more lineage to that makes that super cool. So I'm glad you're able to grab that and appreciate you sharing it. That's an awesome card.
I was basically just going to touch on the same thing. The earlier signatures and packs were mostly Big O, and then later on they switched to Oscar Robertson. So finding the combination is definitely nice. And like you said, the notable nicknames from 09, and that set's the only one, and both numbered to 25. So definitely something special. I agree.
Yeah, I was going to say that I really like that on those Hall of Fame themed sets, they always go with that orange theme because of the Hall of Fame color. I'm sure like aesthetically, maybe it's not for everyone, but I just think it is really a nice touch to kind of carry that theme. I noticed that the design is pretty reminiscent, and the vintage people here that know more about vintage can either tell me I'm horrifically wrong or can expand on this, but that the design kind of looks like the 57 tops, and I feel like it was reminiscent to how Kyle's doing his cut autos, and those kind of two rectangles or whatever trapezoidal shaped shapes on the bottom. They kind of, the way they come together near the middle of the card, it kind of reminds me of the 57 top set. Is that right at all, or am I just kind of am I hallucinating?
I think like a good song, it's open to interpretation, right? Art's open to interpretation, but I don't think I see what you're saying when you point it out as far as like that text box and that shape to it. I'm not so sure that Panini maybe went that far, but I think they were definitely intentional with the color scheme, as you mentioned. I think that's spot on.
And you mentioned that was Panini Hall of Fame 0910, so that was its own set with boxes and packs and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so they have I think it was famed autographs is another one of the main subsets of that. So where they have crazy print runs as well. Some people are as low as I think 25 and as high as like 8.99, and it mixes everything from coaches to women's Hall of Famers and everything in between. So like it gets kind of a big kind of medley of everything Hall of Fame related. And it kind of picks up a lot of loose pieces as well from the kind of merge over from Panini taking over the license. They picked up so many different unique signers in that set. You can get like Pat Summitt in there. You can get all kinds of different people. I could have to sit and think about it, but there's all kinds of people in that set that you could add.
If you were to look up the base cards on like ComC or eBay, Joe, you'd be like, oh, that set. Like it's definitely a design that you'd be very familiar with from seeing around. And but yeah, it was a popular set. Like Adam said, it just sort of kind of bridged the gap. And when they took over all the entities, that's a very popular autograph set. That's from it.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely recognize that.
Yep, Cheryl Miller's in that. Pat Summitt,
Yep.
like Adam said, a lot of females and stuff.
I may have thought it was an insert into some other product then.
No, yeah, it's a full standalone product of nothing but Hall of Fame stuff. And like I said, they mix everything together from having base cards that are kind of unique and numbered of different guys that haven't had cards in forever, all the way up. Like John Thompson has a card in there for Hall of Fame and everything in between. And then they have the two main autograph sets there, the famed there, and then the monikers that he showed.
Yeah, that variance in print run is wild across signers.
Yeah, just basically like the rarity is what tips the scale. So like the common guys that are going to riddle your boxes, that ruin your breaks, are going to be out of 800. Then the guys you really want are going to be numbered to 10 or 25. I think that's kind of cool personally, having it leveled out that way rather than every card's numbered to 5 or 10 or 20 or whatever it may be.
Oh, that's very cool. There's a question in the chat that someone maybe can answer. That set has the Texas Western starting 5, right?
I know they have some of them. I don't know if they have the full 5, but they definitely have some of the Texas Western team in there.
That's from Cardboard Caleb. Thanks for hanging out and participating. Can someone enlighten me as to what that team is, or Texas Western? What is that referencing?
So it's kind of like they just put in, what was it, the Redeem team into the Hall of Fame. So instead of having individual players being put into the Hall of Fame, they'll put like historic teams into the Hall of Fame, and they had some autographs in that set.
Oh, very cool. That's very cool. Braxton, do you know what the checklist size is on the set if you're potentially pursuing it?
I haven't looked at it, honestly. It's just kind of like I had already had the Frazier, the Iceman, and the Skywalker, and then getting the Big O, one of the big ones. I was kind of like, maybe we'll start chasing that one day. I know it's pretty big.
Yeah, I'm not sure the quantity, but there's definitely a decent amount of them. Probably 30, maybe 40, something like that.
Oh yeah, that is pretty decent. And sorry, I know I'm Steve. You may think that I'm like you said, it's up to interpretation. But doesn't the 57 top set also have that headshot at the bottom of the card?
I mean, I can pull one out side by side. Yeah.
I might be going crazy. I don't remember, and I'm not the person to ask.
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent
box.
of it. Yeah, it's maybe they took the kind of design philosophy almost for those cards, but
So there's the
yeah,
side by side.
you're probably seeing the
Like here, like the name and team.
Yeah, I'm seeing the text boxes. Yeah, the name and the team.
that's very similar for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I would have never seen that until you pointed it out, and I can definitely see where you're coming from. It's very similar, same angles, the kind of contrasting colors, everything. So I definitely see what you're saying. I don't know that it was necessarily that intentional, but it is kind of a neat comparison.
Yeah, it is. I just looked it up, a 25 card set. So
25.
Oh, okay. Right on. Doable. But yeah, some of the low number one, that's going to be tough. But
yeah.
those are always the funnest chases, like the ones that hang out that you never see. They show up every 6, 7 years or something like that. It's always the funnest chase.
Bird is the one that really gets you. Those have really spiked in the last
Yeah, have they?
few years. Because he only has, I believe it's 10 in that set and 10 in 09 notable nicknames. So 20, I believe it is, total inscriptions where he inscribes Larry Legend. So yeah, the last one of those I saw sell was like $7,000 or $8,000. I want to say something like
It
that.
was
Something
huge
crazy.
money.
Jeez. Yeah, those inscriptions, they can get up there. I mean, they're very collectible, and there's not a whole ton out there, when you compare it just to autos in general that are out in the world. The inscriptions, it seems like either there's not a ton or they just don't show up for sale. People keep them. That's what I kind of think is it's just people are keeping them in their PCs. They're like, that's my favorite card. I'm not giving it up. So,
Yeah, both are definitely true for sure.
yeah. All right. Well, awesome, Adam. That was great. Braxton, thanks for joining us as well. We are hitting almost the 30-minute mark, so we should probably go to our next contestant.
The teacher calls the front of the class, Joey, for show and tell time. Joey, what did you bring to show with your friends today?
Well, before I do, I'm going to be a terrible student, and I'm going to actually. I wanted to ask some stuff in terms of Adam, that archetypal signatures. I think that's what they're called, right?
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know. Do you feel like you tend to gravitate towards cards that have that foil framing? Because I feel like there were a couple exquisite sets that you've shared in the past where literally the entire card with like the auto and the picture are framed in the foil. Yeah. I mean, I just noticed that kind of parallel.
I don't think the foil framing the card necessarily is that important to me. I do know you're probably referring to like the dual
Yeah.
enshrinements I showed the other day that has like etched foil in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think foil of some capacity, whether it's the etched foil in those or the hollow foil on that, is a big factor for me. It doesn't necessarily have to frame the card, but being there is important.
Okay, very cool. And then I also was going to ask in terms of, and this is kind of just for everyone's thoughts. We were talking about that hierarchy with exquisite and ultimate. Is ultimate a second to exquisite universally as the in terms of the upper deck high end lineage, or is there some debate as to what would be second to exquisite?
I think that would be a pretty big debate for them to give them second, because I personally would say I love Ultimate, but I would look for UD Black or Chronology stuff over Ultimate. But that's also kind of one of those things where they were shorter lived, but like more sought after in my eyes. Like there's less years of UD Black or Chronology than there are Ultimate, but the stuff that came out those years are more sought after in my eyes. But I'm sure there'll be people who are into the earlier years of Ultimate that will hate that take and say that those are greatly outweighing. And then you get into the newer years where you have the jumbo patches and the foil, like the archetypals. But for me personally, I would say they're up there. I'd say they're probably 4 or 5 underneath UD Black, Chronology, Exquisite, and then I would put them in that kind of range with Premier. I'd say they're better than Premier, and put Premier 5 probably be my take on it.
Does someone else have thoughts too? I'm just curious because I wasn't around during UD's time. I came in right at the first year of Panini, so I'm curious what the hierarchy was for that upper deck high end.
I'd take a nice UD Black, to be honest. I just like the silver. They had the correct silver paint pens, not the giant fat ones that Panini uses, and just the black backgrounds. It looks great. I don't own actually a whole ton of them, but the ones that I do, I would probably put those a little bit above. Not necessarily exquisite, but maybe in that second ranking for me personally.
And I think exquisite is a category all in its own. And I think after that, then you start talking about sets that majority of other collectors would go after. And even with something like, and I agree with chronology, Adam, but some people would look at some of the specific UD Black patch autos or dual autos. But then also UD Black has some sticker autos or some sticker patch autos. And so the chronology autos that everyone's so, aware of with the famous photos, and I forget the name of that set, but so I think exquisite, everything exquisite is seen as like the premiere of premiere, whereas once you go down those tiers, people would start to say, okay, I like this aspect of chronology and that puts it here, but I also like, as Ryan's saying, this aspect of UD Black because of the quality of the pairings and the right autos and stuff. So it's just that there's different weights to different parts of the sets, and or whether the consistency of, again, I don't think we nailed down a year, but Ultimate just being around for pretty much all of the 2000s and having game use patches from the start, people are going to weigh that over good autos. So it becomes a little more nuanced, I think, after Exquisite, and doesn't mean that I personally, I agree with Adam that there's aspects of Ultimate Collection that I greatly prefer over a lot of the Exquisite stuff. But as far as in like the macro level, I think it's Exquisite, and then you take a couple steps down actually, and then you start to kind of look at the other higher end sets from the 2000s.
Yeah, I would agree.
You're muted, Joey.
Yeah, Joey, I know we're trying to help Ryan out, but you actually have to unmute because he does want your audio. He doesn't want your background noise, but he does want your audio.
Yeah, this is. I teach virtual classes. You'd think that I'd be better at this. Braxton, I was asking what your thoughts were in terms of the UD higher end hierarchy.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Adam and Steve on that. Exquisite's just kind of the upper echelon, and it's up there by itself. And then I agree, the UD Black, especially like some of the things that Adam showed. I want to say it was the first episode where it's those triple autos and just some of the crazy stuff in there, plus the foil. They used the right paint pens, like they just did it right. I personally, I love Ultimate. I love just the little hints of hollow foil. Like for example, you can kind of see the foil on that really pops. It's just not a whole lot of it. So this is a 0607 set. So they had one where it was gold without the hollow foil, and then this prime patch where they had the silver background with the hollow foil. And there's nothing wrong with the gold ones. It's just generally usually like a napkin. But these ones with the prime patches are just like in hand. It just doesn't really get much better in my eyes.
Yeah, that's some great hollow foil, even though there's not a ton of it. And UD was just so good at putting hollow foil and using it well and using it often. Yeah, cool. Well,
It like
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just like I said, it's just one of those things where like you can see pictures of it and it's awesome, but when you hold something like that and just see the light bouncing off it, it's something else.
Yeah, even seeing it on video here, it's kind of like it just dances.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about hollow foil is you can't really take a picture of it that truly shows kind of uniqueness of it, or some of even the parallel designs. You gotta just hold them. I used to do Instagram posts where like the third one in was like a little video of the card, and it just took too long, so I don't do them anymore. But I was like, I want people to see this because it looks cool, stuff like that. So, all right, Joey, we're gonna move to you.
Enough stalling. But a reminder if anyone wants to jump on, scan the QR code. But enough stalling. So my card, I just kind of started looking through my cards, and then I flipped through my binders and stuff and looked through the different mags and stuff I have, and I just kind of waited for something to speak to me as in terms of something that I felt I had things to say about. And so what ended up sticking out to me was a card from 1920. It was Panini's first year of Mosaic. So it's the Panini Mosaic. This one is the black gold. It's just the lowest number I have, but I also have the gold out of 10. It's the Panini Mosaic Rashawn Holmes. These are the black gold and the gold. I guess they're called gold mosaic. I don't exactly know the name of the parallel, but it the reason it stuck out to me was because back in 1920, Rashawn Holmes was signed to be the backup center for the Kings, and within
In 1920? Am I the
yeah,
only one that heard that?
Yeah, when you said 1920 initially, I was like, "Oh, he's got one of the first basketball cards."
You got to remember it's almost 10 o'clock at the East Coast. My brain's a little slow.
he's an old guy. No, I guess basketball seasons are different. And back in the summer of 2019, he was signed to be the backup center for the Kings behind Dwayne Dedman, who was signed to be the starter. And really quickly that changed, and he became the 30-minute, 35-minute per night starting center. And the follow, and then he was probably one of their better players, embarrassingly, behind De'Aaron Fox. And I guess that was Marvin Bagley's second year, but there just weren't there never really are a ton of interesting Kings players for sets. But was weird to me is that he was not included in another set in that release year in 2019, 2020. Panini did not put him in any other sets. And I just thought it was really interesting that, again, like, he didn't make Donruss, didn't make Hoops. I guess Hoops was still early, right? That was the first release of the year, and he wasn't playing yet, and the season was, they probably printed it and started manufacturing and packaging before the season even started. But by Donruss, by Prism, by Select, there was not, you would have, if you were collecting and that was your only window into Sacramento Kings basketball, you would have no idea that Rashawn Holmes was even on the team. And for some of those sets, they include how many players in the base set? 10, 7, 8, 9, 10, players in the base set. And so I just kind of at some point decided, you know what? I think I really, sorry, I'll backtrack. I also really appreciate players like Rashawn Holmes, the hustle guys that were second round picks and ended up becoming starting players in the league. And I know he wasn't a starter for very long, and I know that he didn't have much staying power or anything like that. But for 2 years there, he was, I remember the next summer of 2020, sorry, 2 summers after his contract expired, Sacramento Kings Reddit and Twitter and everything were going crazy about them re-signing him. So he was a like pretty big deal in Sacramento and stuff. And so I just decided to try to go after the rainbow. And so I, obviously by the time that happened, I was too far removed from product release to have been able to pick up the 101s and stuff like that. I think I'm down to the 3 101s and maybe 2 other cards that I still need for the rainbow. But yeah, it's just I have a lot I could say about the various fluctuations of the cards and the pricing and how often they show up and stuff like that. But that's why these cards appealed to me. And I'll just go through random parallels as I want to show them. But I just think that what was cool about Mosaic is I think that Panini's intention was it to be their version of Finest, where it was like the cropped photos on the colorful backgrounds with tons of parallels. I know Panini has had tons of parallels on all their products now, but obviously back when Finest was in the 2000s, that was what Finest was. It was the parallel product, right, with tons of different colors and patterns and stuff. And so I think Panini did a good job in that first year. The problem is every other year has looked nearly identical, which has been, I'm sure, frustrating for fans of Mosaic. But yeah, so that's kind of some of why it stuck out to me. And I think they did do a really good job on that design. And but I guess the biggest thing is the player and his significance for me as a Kings collector.
So I was going to jump in real quick. So Mosaic, do you remember where that came from?
We're gonna hold off on that because that's gonna be part of my show and tell.
Okay.
We're gonna talk a little Panini replay. Don't you worry.
let me ask a different question then, because okay, you know where I was going with that. So Rashawn Holmes, was he? So that was his only card that year that he got on the
Yeah.
Kings, or did he have other cards on like another team prior? Or?
No, he didn't. So those were his only cards in the 1920 release year that I'm aware of. Base, insert, autos, game used. Those were his only cards.
That's kind of cool. I actually, I'm forgetting the guy's name now. We had him for like a season on the Nuggets, but he had like maybe one set he was in. It was like a Leaf set. Oh, the name will come to me in a minute, but it's kind of cool, like collecting those cards because maybe they're bench guys or maybe they finally got a chance at the end of the season or something like that. And I like collecting those cards as well, where it's just like, okay, well, this is his only card to go after, so I gotta get one, just to represent his time on the team. So that's cool.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you feel like it makes me feel like the days of reasonably being able to collect an entire player's run of cards or something was feasible, right? I can't collect all of Rashawn Holmes' cards in his career, but I can collect all of his 1920 cards his first year as a Sacramento King. So that to me is kind of cool.
What's your so just for people, I just looked up my Crowder checklist because he was in 2019 Mosaic as well. It's 35 card rainbow across hobby, retail, and fast break products. And I hate those fast break disco cards. What's your do you have like a preferred parallel? I have one that I'm very strongly think is the best parallel out of all of them. But do you have one that is like the top of the list for you, Joey?
It's funny. I was kind of looking through to the parallels, and I'm kind of flipping through the binder now to see. I agree with you. I hate the fast break. Those chicken pox on them are just kind of like hideous.
Much better
It's
than
a good way to describe it. I like that.
They got a virus.
I do feel like I tend across Mosaic to like the white parallel.
There you go.
I feel
I mean, 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, the white parallel just so nice in contrast, and yeah, I think it looks really good. So that I would say is my favorite looking parallel.
And those are out of 25, right?
Yeah, those are out of 25.
Yeah.
With the white parallel, is the color behind the player always team color?
Yep.
Yeah, so that strip kind of going down behind the player is always the team color, and essentially that's what Mosaic has looked like every year. It's been 6 years of Mosaic, and they all look like this with the parallel color on the sides and then some team color in the middle. And it's just infuriating that they're just recycling the whole thing. Sometimes instead of a little strip, it looks like hexagons, and sometimes it looks like, I don't know, some other shape. But yeah, it's just so redundant. But yeah, I love that white parallel. It just pops so much.
Yeah, and I think with like Mosaic, I will say this is that if you can't go after like a team set of golds or something in regular Prism, you can go to Mosaic and usually pick them up for cheaper. So that's kind of cool because I do a lot of Nuggets team sets, and there have been certain years where it's just like I can't even pick up Jokic golds anymore out of regular Prism, so I don't even really like try for those. I'll pick them up every once in a while, but mostly I've been going after like Mojos in Prism. But then Jokic is still expensive in that, so sometimes I've gone off to Mosaic and just gone, you know what, I can put a team set together here. It's cheapish. It's not terrible. I do like Mosaic for that. I've never been to be honest, never been like a huge fan of them, but those whites are actually my favorites as well, almost over like the golds because they just look.
The golds don't, like, if you're a traditionalist and you want like a gold refractor, a gold prism, the mosaics don't do it. They really, I mean, they just don't. There's something about that pattern on top of the gold, whereas like the pattern on top of the white almost becomes like a silvery white. It really pops in color. Golds don't look bad, but it's not, if you're looking for that, like I said, that traditional gold refractor look where you want some clean shine. I mean, to me, it's the whites just are the best parallel. Do you guys remember the Genesis hype?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So just really quick, is Panini got Genesis was a retail only product, and Panini got, like, I'll just make it up, say 10% of the product printed out and out to retail stores. before they could get the rest out there. So they would just do it in waves. And people started going Jeff Wilson all over themselves and saying that those were like super, super short print and next PMGs, and we're paying hundreds and thousands of dollars for them, to where a buddy of ours was able to move a Luka Doncic one for a logo man. Like people just going insane for them. And then, you know, it's going to sound like the old heads, like everybody just Panini, who straight up told us that they didn't put all the product out. They just got some out there to get them on shelves because grown men were fighting over themselves for retail product, and said there's more coming, and people paid up and paid up and paid up. And I want to say at one point I saw Jay Crowder go for like $100, and it's a $1 card. It was to me, that was the definition of the stupid COVID boom, was those Genesis cards, because it just encapsulated everything.
I put a set together. I think I waited a bit, and the first one I got, I was like, this doesn't even look that good. It was kind of dark and it was okay. But I did end up eventually putting a Nuggets team set to get together that, and then like I have my PC players, Gary Harris, Danilo Gallinari. I'll pick those up still, just because I've kind of gone after him. But yeah, I never understood that initial hype.
Joe, if you don't mind putting Caleb's comment out, he was nice enough to call himself out for us, and I'll read it for people. Caleb admits that the Genesis hype got him for $180. At least it was a Tatum card, he says, but he bought into the hype and dropped $2 on I mean, you guys stall for a second. I'm going to go see what a 2019.
I to be honest, I think the first one I bought of those was a little bit into the hype. I mean, it had kind of tapered off, but it was still kind of expensive, and it might have been the Jokic. I can't remember which player it was. Could have been like Jamal Murray or something. But yeah, I paid up, and now it's probably gone from, let's just say 50 or whatever I paid to it, to probably $5 or less. is what
I
it
think
is.
I think it was kind of like that with Mosaic as a whole. I feel like I remember like almost every Mosaic retail unnumbered parallel, the greens, the pinks for stars were going for ridiculous prices. You know, like you were mentioning the Luka, it wasn't quite Mosaic level, but I feel like a Luka green or a Luka pink camo that's unnumbered, you could probably sell for $50, you know, back then. But yeah, so I feel like it was like that all around. And yeah, Caleb also mentioned that Boston was going after Dwayne Dedman when he was a free agent. I of course go figure that it's the Kings that end up picking him up to be their stretch five, and he ends up flaming out.
You know who else that both Caleb and I wanted the Celtics to pick up at one point, more because he's best friends with Tatum, is Harry Giles. Kings legend Harry Giles.
Kings legend, yes, I know. He also was really hyped up. Man, there was so much hype going on.
He was so hyped coming out, like just I don't even know why. I mean, he never even showed really any potential in summer league or anything. His was all just what could have been.
Well, it's all because he was the number one recruit coming out of high school, and then he got injured, and it just kind of fell off.
And I think he was like a nice guy, so I think people liked him, to be honest with you. Like, he had potential. He was humble and had a good name behind him. But I mean, even like I said, even in summer leagues, for years, I feel like his name would pop up as potential signing at the end of the summer for 6-7 straight years. I felt like his name would always be floating around.
He was actually a fan favorite in Sacramento. Sacramento loved him and was actually devastated when he left. But yeah, in terms of
that's because you guys don't have any good players, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have no good players, so we just have to like the guys that like being in Sacramento. So.
Yep.
Yeah. And the one good player that we had that wanted to be in Sacramento and liked being in Sacramento, we traded. So, you know.
To the point where he cried where he left. He was so, I mean, he was already, I don't know if you listen to any of the podcasts, like Up in Smoke or All the Smoke, whatever it is, but like the player focused podcast. Yeah. I remember hearing him with Barnes and Stack, and I think it might have been JJ Redick. It doesn't matter. But he was like, I'm assuming we're talking about Halliburton, right?
Yeah.
He was like invested in that city. He was ready to make it his home, and he wasn't even asking to be the alpha. He just wanted to be part of the development of the city. And just when he really started to get his footing, they made that swap, and it was a swap that I think worked out for both teams. But that was an odd one because you don't get too many people in a small market like that to like give this to me. I want this city and I want to be here. So that must have rocked you guys a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I will say that obviously everyone's talking about how the Kings got smashed in that trade and stuff. I do agree. I think it worked out well for both sides, and I think it's actually what both teams did after the trade that brought us to where we are. And I remember saying in a post on Instagram, I think that was like, even if we win the NBA Finals because of this trade, like I will never not be sad that Halliburton is not a King anymore. I just loved having him as a King. He's still my favorite player in the league. So.
How much more sad are you that you don't have a finals championship and he's not on the team?
But that was always the likely scenario anyway. So you just get to the point after however many decades your team sucks that you just say expect them to always suck. So it's okay.
Adam's a Bengals fan. He knows.
Yeah, that's fair.
Compared to the Kings, we're the best of the best.
I don't know football at all, but aren't the Bengals like good? Don't they have a good quarterback? Aren't they like good? I don't know.
Well, he's on he ends the first week of every season on a stretcher though, and then it's downhill from there.
Oh,
I don't know if you noticed they don't even have the cart at Paul Brown Stadium because Mike Brown's too cheap, so they had to carry him out.
All right, we are at the 50-minute mark. I think we kind of planned this behind the scenes that this could go. I'm super stoked that Braxton joined us. Caleb's been chatting it up a little bit, so I think we planned this a little bit. That next week is just going to be a continuation of the show and tell, I think. So hopefully Braxton comes on with another card to flex, or somebody else wants to come on and join us. But Ryan and I will have a few cards, and we'll just continue this hangout.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah. I had a lot of fun talking Ultimate and Mosaic.
I know, two wildly different sets.
And Hall of Fame. That was a nice surprise, Braxton. Panini Hall of Fame. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, don't log off yet, Braxton, because if you stay on a little bit longer, it makes Ryan's job easier when he pulls the audio. So wait till we go backstage.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the different eras, and I think the set that I'm going to show is another era as well. So that should be fun. But yeah, awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And like Joey said, if you have a card to show, jump on the stream next week. Be happy to check it out. But from all of us, appreciate you all listening in, and we will catch you next week.
Be well, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
See ya.